Pokemon go to the polls.
Frittata.
You know, maybe it's not so bad.
I think I could get quite used to my new life in this cardboard box. All I've been told is that this box cannot be opened until I reach 100k subs, so it's fair to say I'll be in here forever, right? Good. I'm tired of being abused by you. You're the ones that got Mario to come after me, aren't you? And now he shipped me off in a box to God knows where. I mean, we are about 2,000 subs away from me finally breathing some oxygen and getting light back on my retina. And we did get over 2 million views this month. Yet I can't celebrate while I'm confined. Only you have the power to get me out of this box, but then again, you're the reason I'm in this box to begin with, and you're the reason I'm gonna have to face reveal in front of a Home Depot with that silver play button. Either way, being stuck in this box has given me time to contemplate. Maybe I am just too mean to Nintendo.
You've lost your mind. You've lost your goddamn mind!
After all, Sony and Microsoft are doing many terrible things to their consumers. Perhaps Nintendo guys are right for deflecting all that criticism onto other companies. I mean, it is quite the coincidence that, I spend multiple years penning a company like Sony and, these guys never once show up in my comment section or mention me. But then I decide, you know what? It's time for Nintendo to receive just as much hate.
You can't do that. You have to go by.
And now I'm public enemy number 1. Yet at the same time, I'm also a source of important info for them. They may hate what I'm saying, but they're also on the lookout because they understand Nintendo as a company. And they know I'm right, but the only thing they want to hear right now is about how great Mario Kart World is and how successful the Switch 2 is. Yet when given the choice by Nintendo themselves to voice their displeasure, they will do so. In spite of everything they tell me, their thoughts still align with mine. Because Nintendo put out a survey about game key cards, finally asking the people what they think, which makes no sense to me because this is something you should have asked before you even created the concept of game key cards, which makes me wonder, is Nintendo struggling to sell these things? Why else would they put out a survey when it's far too late? Now, I'm not sure if voicing your displeasure is going to change anything about what Nintendo is doing, but if this leads to Nintendo providing Switch 2 cards that are smaller in capacity so that devs don't have to opt for the most expensive version, that way you get real physical cards, then it's worth a try, and that's why I'm here to report it. Here are the 3 questions Nintendo asked in their game key card survey. Japanese users have shared the questions that Nintendo asked in their game key card survey in Japan. The survey contained 3 questions and was emailed to Nintendo Switch 2 owners, though some claimed that they didn't receive the survey, so it's unclear what sort of criteria is needed to receive it. Here are the 3 questions as translated by Nintendo Soup. 1. Prior to this survey, were you aware that there is a type of game card called Game Key Card among the different types of Nintendo Switch 2 physical releases? The answers are A, I own Game Key Cards, B, I don't own Game Key Cards, but I am aware of them, C, I didn't know about game key cards.
How should I know? I'm retarded.
So this survey was limited to Japan? Oh great, now things are never gonna get done. They just comply with Nintendo on all their policies over there. I mean, I love Japan, I love the culture, I love the people, but goddamn do they bend over backwards for Nintendo over there. Not to mention, Japan doesn't even really get to see how horrible of a company Nintendo can be. For instance, over there in Japan, the Switch 2 is only 347 American dollars, and they don't have to face $80 price tags either. They aren't being price gouged over there, well, I mean, in comparison to the rest of the world anyways. So the sentiment over there is not the same. What would have been interesting was a survey in Brazil, America, Canada, Australia, all the places where people get fucked. Not to mention there are games listed online that do not have game key card specifications written down or shown on the digital box art. So some people have purchased these, not being told it was actually going to be a game key card release. So Nintendo asking people if they were aware of this is maybe a little too late at this point. To me, it just doesn't make sense to concern yourself with asking now. Again, unless key cards are selling astronomically low. What I would give to see the results of these surveys, but that data is reserved solely for Nintendo. I don't know what they're gonna do with these numbers. What I would really like to see is how many polled in I didn't know about game key cards, and how many polled I don't own game key cards, but I am aware of them. Because I could imagine option A is the lowest one. Because while online it's mixed with some not being listed, in retail, all of those Switch 2 games that are game key cards are listed on the box. The only way you wouldn't know is if you're not able to read. But this is Japan, the last place on Earth that struggles with illiteracy.
Did you just congratulate me for reading?
Question 2, are you aware of these particular features about game key cards? Please tick everything that you know. A, after downloading the game data, you can start the game even without connecting to the internet. B, you are required to connect to the internet to download the game data when you insert and use a new game key card for the first time. C, in order to download the game data, you need free memory space on a micro SD express card or the internal storage. D, you can also download game data on another system by simply inserting the game key card. E, you are required to have the game key card inserted into the system in order to start and play the game. F, I don't know any of them. See, that one right there is just hilarious to me because it makes you realize how pointless and needless the very concept of game key cards is to begin with. Not only do people buy physical media to preserve a game collection, but because when you have physical, you don't constantly need to be downloading and using up your storage. So the idea that you have to insert and remove a fake physical cart that only eats up storage on your device, all for the sake of emulating and mimicking what it's like to have real physical media, makes no goddamn sense. At that point, you may as well send them a box with a cardboard cartridge like they did with Fallout 76 and the cardboard disc. What is the point of constantly inserting and removing these things if the whole game is stored on the device and not on the cart? Any consumer that can put 2 and 2 together is gonna say, no, I'm not buying these. I may as well just buy digital at that point. I mean, just look at all the questions Nintendo had to ask you about it. They basically walk you down the entire steps of how it works, in which case I'm wondering if this survey is actually meant to educate people instead of gathering info. You know, they asked all of this, but not the most important question, which would be, do you like this? Or do you like actual physical carts more? Now that would have been a question with valuable information and data to gather. Another question they could have put in the survey would have been, will game key cards affect your purchase in third-party publishers on the Switch 2? That would have been a very crucial question to ask. But like I said, instead these questions are more of a rundown on how game key cards work. It's like Nintendo's trying to explain it to you. Question number 3, the final one. After reading the explanations above, if there is a game key card and a digital release for a game that you wish to buy, which will you choose? Please select the option that aligns with your thinking. A, I will try not to buy the game key card as much as possible. B, if anything, I'd say I'll go with the game key card. C, can't say which, not sure. D, if anything, I'd say I'll go with the digital version. E, I will try to buy the digital version as much as possible. Okay, well, never mind. I guess they did ask the important questions. Oh, what I would give to see the results. I just want to see them. You know that the results are overwhelmingly against game key cards, especially since a lot of titles that were on the Switch 1 were included entirely on the cart, and yet for some reason the Switch 2 versions come in the form of a key card. Why the hell would anybody go out of their way to buy the Switch 2 version when they can just keep their Switch 1 version, which is actually physical? This discourages people from going and buying Switch 2 versions of games. Did this company not realize that they would create more value and demand in Switch 1 versions of games because a lot of them are on carts, and that actually means something to somebody who's paying full price? Because believe it or not, there are more that are willing to keep their Switch 1 versions without all the visual upgrades over a fake physical cart. I would love for Nintendo to publicly release the poll results, because if it turns out that the majority are indeed informed and the majority are choosing not to purchase these, that would be a devastating blow to third party. Hell, those poll results might get developers to change their mind about publishing games this way, because like I've said before in other videos, Nintendo no longer holds the novelty of handheld gaming. You have multiple handheld devices these days that can do it better than the Switch. But the Switch has one thing they don't: physical media, the most important aspect of that device. Yet Nintendo seems to have thrown all caution to the wind and have allowed third-party publishers to have their way, because check this out. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 just came out. Yes, I've been playing it on Game Pass. No, I'm not paying money for that. It's great though. And the audacity of Activision, who by the way completely has Nintendo's permission to do this, has gone on to quote-unquote release it in retail in physical form. Yet upon close inspection, we can see this is nothing more than just a box to the fucking game. There isn't even a key card. There isn't any cartridge. It's just a code to download the game. What the hell is the point in this? Do you see the problem? It extends beyond just key cards, but now smaller, less graphically detailed, toned, and watered down versions of these games aren't even being distributed to Switch 2 owners in any actual physical medium, not even as a key card. And that's where you gotta give Nintendo credit. At the very least, they wanted to make sure people know what they're getting. But now you mean to tell me we have actual physical games, then we have fake physical games in the form of key cards, and then we just have outright boxes with nothing inside of them. This is a problem that carried over from the Switch 1, and it makes me further question, why would anybody actually purchase digitally from the Switch 2 when purchasing digitally is cheaper on other handheld devices? Your one advantage was physical media. Why would you do away with it? Now what is your best reason to convince people to buy third-party games on your storefront instead of on Steam, where if they're going to buy all digital anyway, they may as well do it on the platform where there's more benefits to reap from it, like being able to play it across multiple devices. I mean, heck, when that Xbox handheld comes out and you buy games there, you'll have a PC version, a handheld version, an Xbox version. Meanwhile, on the Switch, what do you get? Well, I mean, you get a box. Yeah, that's it. Your game came in a box, but it's still digital. That's the benefit. If people wanted boxes, all they would have to do is go to a bargain bin, get a bunch of empty Switch boxes, and just print out box art for the games. It accomplishes the same goal, tricking the mind into thinking it owns something. And believe me, that actually works on some people. But if the poll results show that the majority are not buying these things while being informed, then that would prove me wrong, and that would bring great joy. Because if you're just gonna go all digital and not even bother to give your Switch 2 users the full benefit of digital ownership, then that gives them less reason to choose you as their all digital platform. Because if one single purchase from Microsoft digitally gives you like 3 different ports for 3 different platforms to your game, how the hell is Nintendo supposed to compete with that? Well, we have fake physical carts. You don't get that on Xbox or on Steam Deck. Great, thanks. I love this landfill waste. Either way, this poll goes to show you that Nintendo's very aware. They are paying attention. They know people don't like game key cards. What they do with those poll results is beyond me. As the year goes on, we will see if their strategy works and game key cards are a success, or if they flop miserably, and that leads Nintendo to having to change up their strategy and provide developers and publishers game cartridges that are appropriate to the file size of games. Like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe so I can get the hell out of this box. That being said, I'll see you in the next video.
Free Congo sucks ass.